So, Caroline, your 2023 season saw a very good Mustang team pull off an incredible 14-4 Big West record. But what are your thoughts reflecting on the 2023 season?
Yeah, just incredibly proud of a group that didn't have a lot of seniors, and I think that we felt that in a lot of those reverse sweep moments, going down 0-2 and then coming back and clawing our way back. I think we had at least 5 of those over the course of the 2023 season. So, proud of a group that taught themselves how to win, really, and in a really tough Big West conference, and to go 21-11 overall, 14-4, as you mentioned, and tie for second in the Big West, which I think was our highest finish since 2019, and to be returning everyone, nothing but good things. Looking forward for the Mustangs, so excited for a good year ahead as well.
Oh, without a doubt. And you obviously mentioned you're returning a good portion of your stars, everyone but your libero. But what I thought was interesting is with one of these stat lines, other returners, they compose 90% of your team's production in kills, sets, and blocks. Can you speak to what made that such a great and a high clip for your team?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned we didn't have any seniors, but when you look at a Tommy Stockham, who's been on the court for us for quite a few years, a Lizzie Markovska, who had good court experience, Annabelle Falcon had been on the court in a previous year. Those are 3 players that were able to kill the ball at a really high level for us. And, something I didn't think we did a ton last year that we're looking to improve on as we head into 2024 is our production out of the middle. So, looking to be a little bit more balanced attacking wise in those positions, but I'm going to rely a lot on those 3 pin attackers to do a majority of the work for us as they did in the 2023 season.
Mm-hmm. Well, you do have that good portion of your team coming back, but I wanted to ask you particularly, I know you were pretty connected to this position, but how important is a libero? Because that's the one position that you have to fulfill again in Jalea Kima.
Yeah, very important. And as you mentioned, it's near and dear to my heart, being a former libero, and, a position that I think takes time, and it's going to take time for be it one of our returners, or we have a great freshman coming in from Turkey in Elif Hurriyet. So it's going to take some time to get that person comfortable in our serve receive rotations. Lucky that we have, a Tommy, a Lizzie, that have been in those 2 other positions for us for a few years. So it's not that we're having to replace all 3 of our primary passers, but it's going to take some time for that person to get used to being in those serve receive rotations, and to doing what we need them to do defensively. And then something, that I think we spend a ton of time training here at Cal Poly is our second contacts. We need them to be really, really phenomenal in second contact, so that we can be putting a swing every single time we're sending that ball back over the net. So, with this extended training period, we get a little bit more time, which we're grateful for, but excited to get into the gym and get training that position so that we can hit the ground running.
Well, it seems that you're going to be very power-packed at the pins as well, so it's going to be just a slugfest, at least from the Cal Poly side. But you talked about where Lizzie Markovska, Annabelle Falcon, and, of course, Tommy Stockham are at as far as development process, and they are coming back, so I suspect they're a lot stronger this season.
Yeah, stronger. I think a little more consistent. That's something that we tried to implement a ton this off season, was just becoming a little bit more efficient with the ball. And if we don't like it, how can we find reset opportunities? And if we like it, let's find opportunities to put that ball away. So excited for those 3. I think Tommy's been battling just a few small injuries in the off season, but she should be good to go at the start of camp, and looking forward to a full camp with her and seeing what we can get out of her last senior season. Lizzie is going to be a 5th-year senior this year, but she actually has another year of eligibility. So just excited to keep developing her. She's flying out of the back row as an attacker. Her serve receive has improved, and her just defensive vision is something that we really like to see. And with Annabelle, we've been playing around with her going 6 rotations as well, and hitting a D ball at a really high clip. She's so high up there at her 6'4"-ish frame. So excited for those 3. And then we have Emma Frederick returning, a kid that we thought we would redshirt last year, but came very early off the bench for us when we were running a 6-2 early in preseason, and really helped us towards the tail end of Big West play when Lizzie was injured. And then Amy Hyatt, we've added a few more middles, so we've moved her back to the right side, and she's just imposing her will at the net as a blocker, and and able to attack, again, some really cool angles, being kind of that 6'3", 6'4" height.
Well, it sounds like you have some really good pieces to plug in and you're pretty confident with. Is that a good assessment of what's happening on the Mustang roster?
Yeah, it's fun. I'm excited. I've mentioned before, I kind of have a lot of different puzzle pieces I can play with, and it's my job to see how those fit and where those fit and what point, those are needed to fit in a certain way, and at what point we need them to fit a little differently. And that's something we've been preaching to the girls, like whatever you're asked to do it to the best of your ability. And those are just the returners. We've got some pretty exciting freshmen that we're adding into the fold as well, but being able to go to Europe this summer and take the incoming freshmen and our returning group and just watch the cohesion come together really quickly in those 13 days. And we feel really settled going into training camp. And I was talking to Jason and Addie yesterday. I'm like, we've obviously started to plan those days and we're going back and reviewing them. And I'm like, I just want to go. We can. These kids know our systems. Europe allowed us to do that. And we want to just get in there and be playing a ton of sixes. And obviously, we're going to have to train a ton of serve and pass. But probably the most excited I've been about a training camp, just where we're at in terms of their understanding of what we want to do and our ability to hit the ground running and just start playing some live volleyball almost immediately.
Will you potentially see some of these newcomers pressing the returners for court time?
Yeah, I don't know, right? And I tell our kids that at the start of every preseason. People ask us who's going to start, and we have some people that have done some really great things for us over the years, but we kind of start anew tomorrow, and we start taking stats and start looking at things. So we have the physicality in a few of the freshmen for them to be on the court. It's just going to be, how quickly can they get up to speed with some of those returners and start scoring positive points, when they're on the court, and who looks good with certain combos of other teammates. But yeah, from what we saw in Europe, there's a few kids that are going to be able to compete pretty immediately with this group.
Well, you've mentioned this Europe trip. I'm curious now, what did you do in Europe and what was the purpose of that trip?
Yeah, the purpose was exactly, what I spoke about. The purpose was integrating this group together as quickly as possible and getting them comfortable and getting those extra few days of training. Being a quarter school, we aren't allowed the 10 full days, just how our trip back ended to that, but we did get about 3.5 days of training before we left. So we had the freshmen here, had them in a few practices. They were drinking out of fire hose at the beginning, but by the time we got there, and really, so the trip is a fewfold. It's volleyball, obviously. It's travel and getting to experience all the different cultures and be able to deal with some of the frustrations of travel at times and some of the delays. And we were stuck in the Frankfurt airport for about 9.5 hours on our way over there. And, I was just super proud. And I know that I have a really good group of people. When there's no complaints, there's no animosity. There's nothing we can do, and just making the best out of the situation. So it's really, I think the bulk of the trip was training responses. So how are we going to respond in those moments? How are we going to respond? We took 18 players. So our libero Elif from Turkey wasn't able to join us. And then we have a transfer, JC transfer, Kayla Murdoch, that tore her meniscus. So she wasn't able to join us either. But we had 18, and I was able to play all 18 players during our time there. So just, it's your response to a different teammate on the court with you. It's your response when you get pulled out. So those were kind of the main purposes. And then, of course, enjoying the food, enjoying the cultures, enjoying all the experiences off the court too. But we started in Slovenia. We went to Maribor, played a few matches, and then we went to Pula, Croatia, and played a match. Got to sightsee in Venice, played a match in Modena, Italy. We got to sightsee in Florence, and then we ended in Rome and got to play our last match in Rome.
Wow, great experience, Caroline. Well, let me ask you this, being that it sounds like you got a lot of time with the team already, but have the Mustangs rallied behind a particular mindset, mission statement, or even goal already for the 2024 season?
Yeah, I think that's something that missing Elif, who could be a very big part of this, and, not having Kayla too, that's something that we like to really define in these first few days of camp and get them on the court and we have a mindset coach that we work with, and start having some of those team meetings and see these kind of common ideas and themes that are floating to the top. So while we definitely kicked off our season with that Europe trip, we're going to wait and kind of see what develops in these first few days and those initial meetings to see what becomes, our mantra for the 2024 season.
Right. Well, next question for you is in regards to your schedule, looking at what's happening now, but looks like you've booked some pretty tough opponents to start off 2024, and Florida State, Arkansas, and Auburn, along with Wichita State, just to name a few. But what is your mindset, mentality, or your philosophy in scheduling those kinds of matches for the Mustangs?
Yeah, I look back to 2019 when we got 3 teams into the NCAA tournament, and look back to the schedules that the 3 of us played in that year. And obviously the landscape of volleyball has changed since then, and it will continue to change as these, Power 4 conferences do whatever they'll do. And just watching, how their records against each other affect RPI and different things like that. But we're looking to play teams that win 20 matches in their conference, and that, are going to be good RPI boosts for us in the preseason schedule. So the other thing we want to host, it's great to say that, and we could go on the road all 4 weekends. We have done that during some of my head coaching years. It takes its toll, and I don't think we were as fresh for some of those matches. So this year, making sure that we hosted was a priority, and hosted weekend 1 and got some comfortability with our group. So we'll host Sac State, St. Mary's, and yeah, the Arkansas thing was kind of like, really? Like, you guys are going to fly all the way out here to San Luis Obispo, and we'll return there in 2025. And, Jason does a wonderful job training his team, and I think he has a lot of the same care when he schedules. So, we should be good and winning around those, hopefully winning around those 20 match magic numbers in the next few years. So I understand that desire. And then we will go to Auburn from there and play Auburn, Florida State, no easy task there, and then finish against Troy, another really good RPI team, as we're out in that neck of the woods. But after that, we go to UNLV and play a home match for Tommy. She's come and done wonderful things for us, and I'm excited for her to play against her family and friends. And then we finish it off with what I think is the best RPI weekend at Wichita State with Northern Colorado and Omaha. So trying to really push that RPI and see what we can do, and try to help the conference as a whole, so that we're boosting, other teams as, at least those top 4 as we play them as well and do our part.
Right. Well, final question for you, and this is more like the fan type question, but if you're new to volleyball or new to Mustang volleyball, what athlete or athletes would you recommend those fans focus in on to see some of the best play?
It's a great question. Just from previous seasons and her excitability, I think Lizzie Markovska is one you have to keep your eye on. She's our showman. She's going to get a kill, and she's going to celebrate herself. She's going to celebrate her teammates' achievements as well. Tommy Stockham, just the pure athleticism and arm that girl has is exciting, to say the least. And I think we all know when she gets a hold of one, it's probably one of the harder balls that's been hit in my time in the Big West. Kendall Bashir is an incoming freshman for us. She was a top 25 recruit in the country that is, kind of a blend of Tommy and Lizzie, I like to describe her as. She very, very athletic, jumps well, and definitely has an arm similar to Tommy. So excited to see what she can do. And then our middles, we got a transfer middle from Bakersfield, Brecklin Pulling, that's been just really great to train with over the winter, spring in Europe. And then Kate Slack, a returner. And another freshman, Chloe Lelouge, will play in the middle as well. And she's just been, very quick to learn, and again, just really explosive and an exciting athlete. So excited for all of them. The libero spot, interested to see what happens there. But excited for a dynamic blend of returners and incoming freshmen pushing, and just a competitive gym as we kick this off in the first few days, and seeing what that competition can get us to look like by the end of August.
Excellent. Well, Caroline, I appreciate the time and your answers here today in our preview.
Of course. Thanks, Rob.